Mine was
Okay.
going to be the Jets' first 5 drives of the game. So let me read it out to you.
Okay.
3 plays, 9 yards, punt. Next one, 3 plays, 1 yard, punt. Next play, 3 plays, 1 yard, punt. Next one, 4 plays, 9 yards, turnover on downs. And their next one, 3 plays, 9 yards, punt.
So they had more
Uh,
punching yards.
they what is that, a combined freaking 29 yards and 5 drives. Oh boy, that is pretty dog
Dog
shit
shit.
to me. And welcome back to another episode of your favorite couch potatoes. I am your host Jay Cubs, joined as always by Feisty, and we got a exciting, upsetting college football slate to get into. But before we do that, we had a couple of fights that I wanted to talk about. And of course, everybody knows Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson Friday night on the worst performance. I don't know if you watched it on Netflix on Friday, but Netflix was not prepared for it.
Nope.
Their freaking streaming was just terrible. It was buffering the whole time,
Yep.
kicking people out. Some people couldn't even watch it at all because Netflix was not working. But yeah, it was pretty terrible. And the fight was just as bad. Jake Paul ends up beating Mike Tyson. Wow, surprise, surprise, on a unanimous decision. And nothing really happened in this game. Or fight. Mike really didn't do anything after round whatever it was, 2 or 3. Didn't he? Stopped throwing punches and everything. I mean, the dude's 58 years old. Like,
Yeah.
the fact that this was a fight to begin with is crazy, and I think he definitely was just like, yep, I'll take 20 million, and that's what he did, and he got 20 million just for being there. So
I mean, I've seen a lot of, because you've seen the training videos that Mike Tyson put together, right? Like you've
mhm.
seen how beast he was looking, how well prepared he was, and then you come in and he hits really good shots the first couple of rounds. I think first and second round he won 10-9 or 9-10, whatever it was. Yeah, I think he won 10-9, and then after that he just didn't do anything. There's some speculations that, like, when Mike Tyson kind of like what's his name, Jake Paul, put his head on and they kind of were holding on to each other for a second,
Yeah.
he whispered some stuff to him and said calm down, and then so there's a lot of stuff going on that this was rigged from the start. I was hoping Mike Tyson would have put this guy in his place. It's kind of unfortunate that we're still talking about this and that he continues to look stupid, and then he comes back and says, "Oh, I didn't want to knock out Mike Tyson. That's just not
Yeah.
good." But bro, you didn't even do anything. You're getting dogged, shizzed on by everybody because you should have put him in his place if this wasn't rigged. So it's just so frustrating, man. I really want him to fight somebody real and somebody to beat the crap out of him where they're not doing it for the money. But it
Hmm.
sounds like no matter what, he's getting his way, and it's so annoying to the sport. It's so disrespectful to the sport. Everybody's very
Hmm.
like upset about it. It was a boring fight, and Netflix was definitely not ready for this. And if that's what's gonna be like in the Christmas games when they have those
Oh
games, oh
man,
man,
there can't be, that cannot happen
yeah,
for NFL, man. I'll be so fucking pissed. But yeah, I think this was all staged, man. It wasn't a real fight, and
right.
it's just for publicity, which Jake Paul is good at. And the thing is, though, too, is that,
He's an
like,
entertainer.
and I think that he's actually been training. Like, he's actually been training to be a boxer. He's 27, right? So he's in the prime of his life, and like, just fight some real people. I mean, he lost the one fight to Tommy Fury,
Yep,
and that's, the closest thing to a boxer. I've had
to a real
some
fight.
boxing
Yeah,
fans saying that even he's not that good, but
yeah. I want him
still,
to fight
like,
Canelo.
he's a real boxer, as real
Yeah,
as any that Jake Paul has faced, because 50-year-old Mike Tyson doesn't count. I'm sorry. I
yeah.
know everybody wanted him to win. I wanted Mike Tyson to win, but I knew he wasn't going to. So
Yep. Just an
congrats to
entertainer
Jake
putting
on
on the show.
making a bunch of money. But yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get into some real fighting. And that was UFC, what was it, 316, I think it was. And we had some really good fights. We had the Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler fight. That was a really good one. Oliveira holds on for the win. right at the end of the fight, I thought Chandler was tapping. I don't know if you saw this, but it was just like it's like a tap out of respect, but it looked exactly like a tap. And I was like, what the? Everyone's like, what the hell is he doing? But because they were like smiling during it and stuff, they're just saying like,
Yeah,
good fight, good fight. So props to the ref for not like calling it
calling
right
it.
there and making that.
Yeah.
But Olivier wins that one, and then we get into the big fight of the night, Mr. John Jones versus Stipe Miocic, and
Mhm.
talk about not a really good fight either. But it's just because John Jones is so damn dominant, man. I mean, this dude, he's just a tactician. I think he is different. I mean, he's talked about it where once he might have some personal feelings, like he did against Daniel Cormier back in the day when they had their rivalry, and but once he gets to the ring, he says he shuts that all off and he's just focused on what he needs to do for his technique, his body, his opponent, what he can do. And he really is, man. The dude's the GOAT, I think. And a lot of people think that as well. And then Stipe, on the other hand, was a really, really great fighter. But again, talk about an old guy. I know John's up there too, but Stipe's a little bit older and
Yeah.
it just wasn't even close. He gets a TKO in the third round after a spinning back kick to the gut. Oh my goodness, dude!
And
And he did
another
that
leg kick.
earlier. He did that earlier in the fight, man. And he was kind of I said it like playing with his food all fight, and it was never going to be anything but a John Jones win for sure.
Yeah, that's the whole and another leg kick. And
Yep.
another leg kick. I mean, John Jones is just so dominant, and his reach is just insane. So if he just gets just this much room close to you, he's gonna either kick you, punch the crap out of you, take you down, and then do one of those things. So this was just a kind of a entertaining fight for a little bit, and then afterwards it was the same thing where John Jones was just so dominant and so dominating in the
Yeah.
fight, and just kind of looked like it was over before it even started. But like you said, he is the one of the greatest of all time, if not the greatest. Maybe he might have one or two more fights, I think, and then he might call it good as well. But we will
Yeah.
have to see what he ends up doing because I know some people would probably want to see if they can retire him, and he's probably not going to. So it's a whole legends, man. The legends are all dying.
They're all getting up there. I know that Dana White wants him to fight Tommy something. I don't remember his name. I'm not as well versed in the fighting world, but and then I think he talked about maybe dropping back down another weight class to fight somebody else. But he did say that like Dana's gonna have to pay him. Basically, he's gonna have to pony up and pay him a lot. He's not just gonna fight for nothing, especially at this stage in his career.
Yeah,
Like the thing is, it's not like he's fighting anybody crazy. Like and the only name I think would really be interesting to see, but that'll never happen because he's already out of it. Is Francis Ngannou? I think that would be an awesome fight to see.
yeah,
But and that's the thing too. He did flirt with the idea of doing like celebrity fights and stuff like that. But for him and his career, man, like he does deserve a box office fight. Like even this one, I talked to a lot of people. Like we didn't even know that he was fighting this week until
yeah. I
like
didn't
later
either.
in the week,
Yeah,
and they did not really promote it. It wasn't that huge of a fight, so it yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I don't want him to retire, but like, what would he do at this point? So we'll have to see what happens next for John Jones.
yeah.
But yeah, let's get into college, and we will start. So we are recording this before the college football playoff rankings come out. So we're going to do it a little bit different this time. We're going to keep the same list. We're going to go it from last week, but we'll give our guesses for what we think. So
Yeah.
we'll start out with your Oregon Ducks, who played Wisconsin this weekend. I don't think it was the game anybody was expecting, was it? They're feisty.
No, I mean it was just a disappointing game overall for the Ducks. I thought that they we talked about this game being a tough matchup for them, but we didn't think that it was going to be that tough of an opponent. We knew that they wasn't going to be a easy rollover from Wisconsin, but it somehow, some way, we end up coming back in the second half. I think the first half ended with a score of 6-10. Wisconsin, we were struggling to move the ball. Wisconsin's defense was showing up. They were struggling to move the ball the first quarter, and then they ended up starting moving the ball that second quarter, and then took the lead at halftime. And Like I said, I think I texted you. I was like, Dan Lennon is gonna lit a fire under these guys
Mhm.
because this is just the most disappointing game since that Boise and Idaho State games. Like this is just disappointing, and and I feel like that's what he did. They come back out and they end up pulling it away with the game with a score of 16-13. I think that last quarter they finally actually started showing up and started clicking. Dylan Gabriel's kind of comfortable. I think O-line was getting pushed around a lot.
Mhm.
Offensively, we couldn't get anything going on the receivers end. I'm still struggling why Yvonne Stewart is still struggling when Tez Johnson's out. It's either him or Holden that needs to take over, and they just haven't been able to. They do a game here and there, and then they know don't show up for the next game. So this was just a definitely a wake up call for them that nothing is easy. Obviously now we're in the Pac-10 championship. So it's gonna be
They're the Big Ten.
or Big Ten, sorry, not Pac-10, yeah, Big Ten championship. So obviously we're
Still
gonna have
miss
to
it.
wait who who's gonna be the opponent for them, whether it's gonna be Ohio State or Indiana. That's gonna be the big game this
Yeah.
next week coming up. And so but overall I think it was just a disappointing win. I will unless the only way that the only reason why they're gonna keep that number one spot because they really should drop is because they're the only undefeated team, right? And
Yeah.
they're the big dogs right now. So I don't think that they're gonna drop by any means, but realistically, this was a very disappointing win overall, team wise, defense, offense, nothing was going. So
Bro, that's crazy. I didn't realize they are the only undefeated team. I mean, I'm sure there's some lower schools that might
right,
be,
but in
but
the
they're the only that's crazy. Usually there's a little bit more at this point in the year, but with this conference realignment, there's just more
I love
teams
it.
have to lose, right? So,
Yeah,
yeah, I
somebody
love to
has
see
to.
it too. I think you're right. I think they are going to stay at one. I think, and because Ohio State's at number 2, and I don't think you can move Ohio State unless Oregon loses. I don't think you can move them since Oregon beat them,
Yep.
um, or just something crazy happens. I don't know. But yeah, Ohio State at 2 was where they were last year. I think they're going to stay at 2. They defeated Northwestern 31-7. It was kind of a cool game. They played it in Wrigley Field where the
Yeah, it was a
Chicago
cool
Cubs
scene.
play. But
Yeah.
yeah, they defeat Northwestern 31-7. So I think they'll stay at 2. Do you agree there?
Yeah, I agree. I think Ohio State is gonna continue to ball out. This next week is gonna be a big contest for them with against Indiana, but Northwestern never had a chance. I think it was a super hyped game where we were hoping that they would have a chance, but Ohio State never looked back as soon as they scored the first touchdown. So
Yeah.
I agree there.
Yep. No surprises. And then we got Texas at number 3, which is where I think they will stay as well. They defeated Arkansas 20-10. Arkansas definitely played teams tough this year. I think that they're maybe a little bit better of team than their records say. They just have a very hard schedule, obviously, in the SEC, but I think they
Yeah.
stay at 3.
Yeah, I think that this one, the same thing. I think that they continue to stay at that number three spot. They're continuing to show that, even though that they have that one loss, they're continuing to ball out and continue to get better every year. So I totally agree. Stay at the third spot.
Yeah. And then we got Penn State at 4. They defeated Purdue 49-10. So big win there, but I think it is Purdue. So I don't know how much, like respect that'll get. I don't think it's enough to move them up. So I think they stay at 4.
I think this is the one I think that they actually should drop to fifth. Um, because I know that Indiana, we'll get to that just here in a little bit, but I know that they didn't play. But I still think that Indiana having the undefeated season and having a
Oh, yeah.
big,
Indiana's undefeated. So never mind.
yeah.
Oregon's not the only undefeated.
But yeah, so Indiana, them being undefeated in the season that they're having, I think that they should be up just that one more spot over Penn State. But I get that Indiana didn't really play, so you
Yeah,
can't
it's the.
really say
Mhm.
move them up a little bit. But I think if they did play, I would say Penn State fifth and Indiana fourth.
Okay, I see you. I see you definitely. I think that the committee might not move it because, yeah, like you said, they stayed at 5, and that's a thing that is getting talked about a lot. Like, what matters more, the record or the strength of schedule? Because that's starting to come up where, like, we have, and we'll get into Georgia's game a little bit later, but where Georgia's played a lot of tough teams, and their losses are to Bama and who was their other game? Was another top 5? Was
Oh,
it
they lost to
Texas? Did
no,
they
they
lose
lost
to?
to Vanderbilt, didn't they?
No, that was Alabama that lost
Oh, who
to
did you say? Georgia?
Georgia, yeah.
Oh,
Oh, they lost to Ole Miss, right, that's right. Just last
yeah,
week, they lost to
sorry.
Ole Miss, so
Thanks to Alabama.
yeah, sorry. No, yeah, but 2 ranks, so it's like, what matters more, right? And that's like we talked about last year where Florida State was undefeated and they didn't make the college football playoffs. And then you see what they did against Georgia in whatever the Orange Bowl or whatever it was. It was like 62 to 3 or 0 or something. So
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think? What do you think matters more, or do you kind of got to look at the whole picture?
I think that you do have to look at it in the whole picture of who had like some of these teams, right? They never usually have tough schedules
Hmm.
until towards the end of the season, and it's really just one or two teams, depending on if those programs actually developed that year before, or the year after. And so I really think that you kind of have to look at all of it, but it's always popularity vote too. Like these big
Hmm.
schools are always going to be in there no matter what, and that's just how it is. They're the money maker for the NCAA, and they're going to continue to make money. If they're not in the rankings, that's just weird to not like Georgia's dropping just barely or Alabama dropping just barely. It's just because they're and Bama like they're just the money makers, so they're going to continue to rise and continue to show out, even if it's like a small win against a nobody. So
Yeah. I think that like I think that strength of schedule should be considered a little bit more than I feel like it may be right now.
yeah,
But I think, like, I agree with you. You got to look at the whole picture. Like, Indiana hasn't played anybody yet, and they have Ohio State this week, and I don't think they'll get blown out. I think Ohio State will win the game. But
yeah,
what if Ohio State does blow them out? And kind of I wouldn't say make them look like pretenders because I think they're still a good football team. They're showing that with the eye test, when you look at them play and the way they're beating teams and stuff. But like you say, they haven't played that big team yet, so we'll have to see. But
yeah,
yeah, I think that the committee should. So we'll like consider strength of schedule more, or at least value it just a tiny bit more than they
right,
are. So we'll have to see how that comes out tomorrow.
yeah, 100%.
Well, let's move along. Let's talk about BYU. And finally, finally, someone else on this podcast team hits the losing train.
Ooh.
I think you can still call them the best team in Utah, but we'll get to that later. Wow, what a game. Kansas versus BYU in BYU at LaVell Edwards Stadium. It's really started off and throughout the whole game was a really defensive game.
Yeah,
Both quarterbacks have a pick apiece. They throw for less than 200 yards passing. And BYU is held out of the end zone in the second half entirely.
dang, yeah,
Um, and in the fourth quarter, right at the beginning, they messed up a punt where the ball went right into a BYU defender's back, or not defender, but the punt team hit him, and then another guy tried to jump on it, but it slipped out of his hand. Gave it right to Kansas in a goal to go situation where they scored, I think, the first play after that. So Kansas pulls off the upset in Lavelle Edwards, 17-13. Now we're talking about a 3-6 team, now a 4-6 team after that win. So, man, it's too bad it wasn't us. It could be a whole different scenario if that game goes a little bit different against Utah. And you talk about two straight losses to unranked teams who have been struggling. So BYU has
yeah,
definitely not been playing their best ball these last couple of weeks, and I think that's going to show. And we'll get into it a little bit later with some more Big 12 action. But I'm thinking that they're going to move down. I'm going to guess about 16. I think they'll drop 10 spots, and it's because of some wins that have happened, as well as, like I said, I think that the committee now might value, I'll just say it, Colorado a little bit just because of how they looked and
yeah.
like the hype around them. So I'm thinking maybe Colorado's going to jump them, but I could be wrong. They might not jump BYU that far because it is their only loss. But
Yeah,
that's what I'm guessing.
that would be my only argument. I don't think that they should be dropped that far because you look at the teams that are right below them, they either have two losses or they have one loss. Georgia has two
Mhm.
losses. Alabama, I believe, has two losses. Tennessee now has two losses. So a lot of these teams that are going to be in the mix for it. I really don't think that they're going to be jumping down that much. I think that they still had a good strength of
Hmm.
to show that they're only one loss, especially where they're in the contention for that or sorry, yeah, the Big 12 conference. I think that they're going to be championship. They're in the right spot still. I think that this is an unfortunate setback for them. They can't have that Cinderella story where they go undefeated and go to the championship and win it out and then get destroyed in the playoffs. But it's it's what it is. It's you're gonna have to compete at every week, and they weren't there to show up. I think that it's unfortunate. I know that Derek's also was cheering that they lost, even though you guys lost. But it's always a bet, a
Yeah.
bet, a good feeling when the BYU ends up losing, even if it's lose, because that's especially when they ended up beating you guys by 1 point. Like that's just
Yeah,
unfortunate. So
yeah, yeah, yeah. We've already gone through it enough.
it
Okay,
just feels
feisty. I
better
get
now,
it. I
though.
get it. It
It feels
definitely
better.
does feel bad. No, yeah, I never got it. Like we talked about, like the people that well, I root for Utah or I root for BYU when they're not playing each other. I've just never been that way, man. They're our biggest rival, and that's what rivalry should be. Like we talked about it. It got really personal with fans and stuff like last week, but that's what makes college football great. Is that
Yeah,
you can do stuff like that, and there's so much passion behind the rivalry. So yeah, I definitely am happy to see BYU lose. I'm a little sad just for because I know it's been a great season like for Wes and stuff, and it's been fun to see them go and get all the way up to 6 in the college football playoff rankings. But yeah, we'll have to see. What is your guess? Where do you think they drop? So right now they were at 6. What number do you think they dropped to?
I think they probably should drop 6 spots and probably get into that 12th spot.
Okay.
Like I said, those teams just have 2 losses. I think that you can set them back a little bit. Um, so that's just my thing is I think that they probably should drop maybe 5 or 6 spots, not 10 spots, because the record is still so much better
Yeah.
than most of those teams that are in the top 12 spot.
I can see that. I'm thinking that the committee might look at it differently, and the fact that Kansas was not a good team
Right.
record wise.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm thinking. But you might be right. It might be an over exaggeration. I'm trying not to keep my personal feelings in this drop as well. I'm trying to think about it logistically, but maybe there's a little bit of subconscious like
Yeah.
BYU should drop, drop, drop. But we'll definitely have to see. Definitely not what Cougars fans or the Cougars wanted to see. We'll have to see how they bounce back, dude. They got Arizona State, who we'll
Yeah.
talk about a little bit later, has been balling out. And yeah, they are, you know, they are they're playing good ball right now, and
It
we'll
could.
actually talk about them a little bit later. So that
Yeah.
might not be a tough, easy game for them.
Well, and I think that's one way to push yourself back into these playoffs spots is just
Yeah,
beating
prove that you
Arizona
belong.
really,
Yeah,
really bad. Like it's a
or even just
blowout
beating
game.
them. But
I
yeah, if
think
you
they
blow
got
them
to
out,
blow them out in order to actually looked at again as a legitimate contenders.
hmm
Because now it's really going to come down to them in Colorado, really realistically for the championship game, right? And so it's going to be really to them what they can do and how much they can show the community where they belong. I think that if they do end up beating out Aura by a blowout game, then I think that they're going to be looked at as that contender. But
yeah,
you never know.
especially on the road too.
Yeah, we don't make those decisions like they do. So
Yep. All right. Well, let's go to the Tennessee 10 percenters or volunteers, whatever you
love
like to
that.
call them. Let's talk about them. So they were at 7. They won't be anymore because Georgia makes a statement win, winning 31-17 in this game and pretty much controlling the whole game. They did it without their star running back, Trevor Etienne. So, really impressive for them. I think they needed this win. If they lost this game, they are probably out of the college football playoffs with 3 losses. So they stay in it. And I think that with this, I'm going to say that Tennessee's going to move down to 11. I think that they beat Alabama, so they have that on their record. That's going to be impressive for them, and I don't think they'll drop super far. So I'm going to guess they drop down to 11.
I just feel like this is one of those teams where I'm not I'm just not too thrilled for them. I think that them losing big time like this, especially where it was a blowout game,
Hmm.
I'm thinking that they probably will drop down to the out of that contention for a playoff spot. I think that they probably drop down to like 14, 15 spot. Just because they have those two losses and they just lost to a ranked team. So I know that that's going to give a little bit of leeway to them, but at the same time, hey man, 10 percenters didn't show up. Again, when you don't show up, you aren't getting that 10%. So, I mean, it's Tennessee. I think this was a really good game to start with, but then afterwards, like you said, Georgia just took control of it, and now Georgia thinks that they are the top dog again. That they're an NFL team. Bro, you guys have two losses. Sit your A down.
Yeah, I can see that. And maybe, I don't know, maybe you're getting a little personal with your feelings about Tennessee there, where you're dropping them down more than I am. Well, I wonder
My
if that's a thing
guy.
too. um, but let's move along. Let's go to Notre Dame, who was at 8, and they defeated Virginia 35-14. So big win for them. I think that they're just going to pass Tennessee and BYU, obviously, with their losses, but they're not going to go up past anybody in the top 5. So I think they move up to 6.
Yeah, I think that one I really agree with. Not a big, impressive win, so I think that they probably stay in that sixth, seventh range.
Yeah, I agree with you. They probably got to pass 6 and 7, because they both lost, and yeah, they can't move.
Yeah,
They can't move
true.
past Indiana or anybody above. So
Yeah,
then
yeah.
we go to your Miami Hurricanes, and Mario Cristobal probably had plenty of time to visit his grandma, as you like to say, because they were on a bye week this week. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with them because, they did come off that loss to Georgia Tech a week before. I think with the way things happened,
Yeah,
I don't know. I think they might move up to number 8, um, because Alabama, we can talk about both teams. They defeated Mercer 52-7. So
Mercer.
huge win for them. Yeah. Mm.
Mercer. Excuse me, where's that from?
Uh,
Mercer. We played
you'd have to look
Mercer.
that up because I didn't even spend the time to try. But
Mercer.
yeah, I think that Alabama's going to move up to 7. I think they're going to go above Miami. So I think Miami will move up to 8, but then Bama will move up to 7.
Oh man, Mercer. It's in Georgia. It's a private school. Looks like. What the
Mm.
Mercer? Imagine playing Mercer. Mercer. Oh my gosh, that's freaking funny. Yeah, I mean, I still don't think that Alabama. I think that there's gonna be some real big shuffles going around. I think that Miami could move up to that 8th spot just because they didn't really play anybody, and some of the
Mhm.
top dogs in that losing 6th and 7th spot. I could definitely see, like you said, Notre Dame at 6, and then Miami moving to that 8th spot. But Alabama moving 7th is a little bit too much for me. I think I see Miami moving 7 and then Alabama moving to the 8th
Mm.
spot.
Okay.
But
I
ah,
think, yeah, just how big of a win it is. That's my thing. But yeah, you could
yeah,
be right. Like, because Bama's got the
Mercer,
2 losses, right? And it's Mercer.
Mercer. Like who the heck is Mercer?
Hopefully Mercer plays a couple more people just so we can keep saying their name. I like the way you say
Well, you really think about that
it.
whole that that whole conference and the especially in the sec too, who they really play.
Hmm.
Who do they really play?
Well, I mean, they play.
Against each
There's
other,
now
really.
there's more. Yeah, now there's more. Right now that you got
Yeah.
Texas, you got Georgia, you got Tennessee, you got Ole Miss that are all top dogs. Texas A&M has been up there, So I feel like there's more, but then there's the bottom feeders. So
It they
there's a
that's
little. It's not. It's less top heavy, but still like there's
yeah.
like 6 teams that are good, and then there's like the rest.
Well, I mean, that school probably got paid really well to let them beat down on them. Mercer.
Mercer.
No mercy. Yeah,
Oh
anyways,
boy.
move on from
Yeah,
those
let's move
losers.
along. We'll go to Ole Miss, who was at number 11. They also had a bye week. I think with the losses, I'm going to move them up to 9. Just basically again above Tennessee and BYU, who dropped those 2 spots, so I think they move up to 9.
Yeah, I think that this, like I said, this conference is tough because everybody's 8-2, starting
Mhm.
from Ole Miss, Alabama, Tennessee, Georgia, Texas A&M. The only team that's like really dominated is the Texas, Mister the Longhorns, and so that one's a little bit difficult for me. But I probably do agree with you. I think that
Yeah,
they'll probably end up staying at that eighth spot, or sorry, ninth spot as well, or moving up to that ninth
moving up,
spot.
yeah. Yep, and then we talked about them, but Georgia, so that's the interesting thing because I would think that you're gonna keep, um, Ole Miss above them because Ole Miss just beat Georgia,
Yeah.
even though it was a bye week, but it was a big week for Georgia to beat Tennessee, so I'm interested to see what happens there. I would think Georgia moves up to 10, again, passing those two people, or those two teams, I should say. But then I don't know. They might move Georgia above. We'll have to see. I know Kirby Smart's not happy about this committee. He's like he doesn't know what they're even looking for anymore. Like he thinks that his team is good enough to be higher up there.
Eh,
But I think they'll move up to 10.
sounds like a loser. Yeah, I mean Georgia's still a big dog, but at the same time, you got to look at records and where Ole Miss has beat you and everybody else above them has either the same record as them or a better record. You're not gonna jump them just because you're Georgia. My big one is let me just really get into it. Obviously, Boise State, right? I
Hmm.
think that they should jump Georgia to be 100% honest with you. Um, and I know yeah, I mean, go ahead and get to that one because I know you got your boy that stats that you want to update on because Boise State's not slowing down. I get that Georgia's a bigger school. I get that all these other schools are big, but and I
That's
know
the thing
Boise State hasn't
too.
really played anybody except
Yeah, and then see that's where you're looking at it, where you're and that's just like based on what you said there, not like calling you out or anything, but just based on like what you said, that's
yeah,
where it
yeah,
seems like if you were on the committee, you're
confidence.
like valuing the undefeated. Well, I guess they're not undefeated. The one loss, but it was to Oregon,
Yeah,
where you're looking at their record a little bit more than their strength of schedule, right?
yep,
Where their strength of
100%.
schedule not nearly as big, but I think. Yeah, I don't know. I get your point about Boise State, but I don't think they're better than Georgia. Like if they met in the playoffs, I think that
Yeah,
uh, Georgia would crush them. So I think that's what you look at. You know
100%.
what I mean?
Yeah, I could see that.
But yeah, they Boise State, like you said, they defeated San Jose State 42-21. Our boy Ashton Genty, a little bit quiet game on his end. When he doesn't get
Average,
200 yards, we call it quiet, obviously.
average.
32 carries, 159 yards, and 3 touchdowns. I mean, if our fantasy or running backs got those numbers, we'd be freaking talking all about it. But for Ashton Genty, we expect just a little bit more for some reason. But no, he's doing good. And so is Boise State. Like we said, only the one loss to Oregon earlier in the
Whack.
season.
Yeah,
So it brings up his total to 1,893 yards. So he is just about 100 yards away from that 2,000 mark. So
insane.
interesting to see for them.
2
I
years left.
think that as it would stand right now, they would make it because they're that fifth team. Obviously, I think they're looking pretty good. Obviously, they still have to win the Mountain West Conference, but
Yeah,
yeah, Boise State 13. I'm thinking they're going to move up to
the 12th.
12 because I'm going to say that Tennessee might stay above them, but maybe they move up to 11. Maybe they pass Tennessee. Maybe that's
Yeah,
the team they pass.
I think that you're right on that. When I was talking about the strength of schedules, I think that they haven't really played anybody but the Ducks. Everybody else they've been able to handle really well, and they've had some close games. But I don't even see them actually jumping Tennessee. I think that they probably will
Yeah.
move up to that 12th spot and make it into that 12th spot to be in the playoffs. I mean, they like you said, they still have to win that conference, and I think easily they're gonna win it. So, um, but I'm all for the big dogs falling and underdogs, unless it's the Ducks. I have them fall,
Not
but
them, not them. Yeah, well,
underdogs
that's
win.
interesting. So those are our top 13 teams. I think that, we got and then we got a couple of teams in there that are going to move below, but like if we're to look at I wanted to talk about this, we should start looking at the bracket a little bit, I feel like, because we're getting closer. So obviously we have the four conference power conference power four, power five, whatever conference champions that are going to be the top four seeds. So if that were to end like right now, you'd assume Oregon gets that one spot, Texas would get the two spot of the SEC champion, Miami three, and BYU still four with that one loss. And then if you looked at like the rest of it, you would have Notre Dame at eight, Alabama at nine, and then Ohio State at five, getting that first seed. Boise State at 12, making it in as that fifth power conference team. Penn State at six, with Georgia at 11, and then Indiana at seven, Ole Miss at 10. So that would be as it stands right now. Obviously, the conference championships are going to change all of that.
Yeah.
Going to make that interesting going forward. So that's just a little update what we got there. And let's look at the teams that are a little bit lower. So we'll go SMU just right on the bubble there. After defeating Boston College 38-28. So good game for them. They're in second place in that ACC, right on Miami's heels right now. They're only lost to BYU. I'm guessing that's not going to be a statement win enough. They're going to move up to 13, I think. I think the only team they'll pass basically is BYU.
Yeah, I think that I agree with you on this. I don't think that they still quite. Did you say they would pass BYU?
I think so.
I don't think that they quite make it where they pass BYU.
So you
Um,
might put BYU maybe 13 then, you
13,
think?
yeah, I'd probably put
Okay.
BYU 13 and them at 14, and then move down from there. But yeah, like you said, not a super impressive win by 10 points. But BYU beat them, and so I don't think that you kind of give that leverage to a team
That's
that beat you.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think they've been hot and they've been playing well, but yeah, I could see that. But I'm going to say that they're going to move up to 14 still, or sorry, 13. Then we'll go to Texas A&M, who was 15. They defeated New Mexico State 38-3. So nothing crazy there, but they do beat them. I think that they will move up to 14. I'm still going to pass. I'm going to have them pass BYU.
Interesting. Yeah, same thing here. I think that they're probably going to stay in that 15th spot. I don't think that they're really going to move up. To the They're still a great team, still a good season for them. But like I said, I think that the SMU not passing BYU kind of
Neither
drops
Texas
these numbers
A&M.
for me a little bit. So
That's fair. Let's go to previous 16, which was Kansas State, who I talked about. They lost to Arizona State.
yeah,
So they are probably going to drop a good bit. I know, obviously, they already lost to BYU badly earlier in the year. They've kind of bounced back and played well, but they lost to Arizona State 24-14. I think they might be able to stay in the top 25. I'm going to guess they dropped to about 23,
yeah,
um, and stay in there, but definitely probably out of the Big 12 at this point.
yeah. I agree with that one. Nothing a whole lot to say.
Okay.
Kind of bit yourself on that one because losing to Arizona State was a big loss for them.
Yep.
And I think they either drop down to like the 25th, 24th spot, or just like you said, that 23rd spot, I think might be the sweet spot for them because they still have a good record overall.
Yeah. Well, let's get into who I think will challenge for that Big 12 championship. Definitely is Colorado. So let's just talk about them before we get into their game. Let's talk about some news things because there's
Yeah.
always something in the news with them, right? Just came out that Deion Sanders is going to be directly involved with the draft process of both Shador Sanders and Travis Hunter, and he will privately step in if the wrong organization tries to draft either one of them. So, what are your thoughts there?
Sounds like somebody we know. His name. He sucks. He has the Caleb Williams. Where he was like, "Oh, I'm only gonna go certain teams. If not,
hmm
I'm gonna stay." Like that sounds so stupid. Don't do that for them. Let them earn their spot. Let them earn their keep. I think that he wants to go coach in the NFL. He's been linked to the good old Cowboys a little bit here and there, and
I
so
know Stephen A said something. Your favorite Stephen A says he wants Deion Sanders to be the head coach.
you know what? I could see it working out really well just because Deion Sanders would challenge. Jerry Jones, and I think Prime Time would be the guy to bring that life back into them. I think he would challenge the players. Um, I could really see him thriving there, but I don't think he's quite ready for an NFL spot yet. But I mean, it's just this just sounds stupid. Don't say that. Don't tell him that there's no such thing as being drafted to the wrong organization. It's a blessing. It's a huge thing for you to get into the NFL. There's a lot of players that don't make it, that even are go undrafted. So just be grateful that you're talented enough to make it into the draft and actually get drafted. I think that this just puts a little bad taste in my mouth from what Caleb Williams did with the
Yeah.
whole "I'm not gonna go. I only pick certain organization" crap.
Well, and I think like you think back at Eli Manning did that. I think coming out of the draft, he wasn't going to play for I think the Chargers or something. That's
Mm,
why they ended up taking him and then trading, or maybe it was the Steelers. I'm blanking right now, but that's why they had the trade when it was Philip, him, and Ben Roethlisberger, and he
yeah.
did that kind of thing. And yeah, I think like you said, it's a blessing to play in the NFL. That's how a lot of people look at it. When you have that power, though, like you're gonna, I don't know, want certain things. The good news for him, and we'll talk about it in our NFL section, is like the Raiders suck. So Shador Sanders tweeted out again, "Thank you God," after we'll just say it, they lost. But yeah, we'll talk about that later. But yeah, I don't know. There was a report, or I guess it was an interview, where Dion did say he's focused on Colorado, not thinking about going to the NFL right now, I think is what he was saying, but
Cap.
we'll have to see. We'll have to see.
Yeah,
But
that's
let's get into their game. So, my Utes, baby, back to back weeks talking about them in the ranking segment.
not in a good way.
Oh, yeah, it was a loss 49-24. Very bad, very bad. I think it was the first time since I want to say 2014 or something like that that Utah is or somebody scored more than 45 points on Utah. And then the first time since 2016 that we lost to Colorado. So definitely a new era for both teams. I think we can say what we want to say. Colorado has definitely turned things around. Deion Sanders has turned things around. I wonder, speaking of the back to the coaching thing, I wonder about him like for the Cowboys or just really any team. I don't know about you, but I view him more as a just good for recruiting
Mm,
purposes. Like, and I'm not trying to talk too much shit, but I see like he's not really directly involved in like the meetings that are go on the field and timeouts and stuff. That's usually their coordinator positions and stuff. So I think he's found really good ones there. But I don't know. Do you? That's how I view him. Do you really like? Do you think he would be like you said, or you said it where he might not be ready for the NFL, but I view him more as better as a college coach because he's a really good recruiter. He's got that name, that presence, and he's able to turn it around by using the right people and getting those recruits. But
yeah.
maybe I could be totally wrong. That's just your favorite couch potato, like just my opinion from sitting on the couch. I'm not obviously not directly involved in there or anything like that.
No, no, 100%. I think that you're right in some aspects of that. I think that he has the hype, he has the brand underneath him, and he's able to make things happen. It's prime time, right? Like you want to go play for coaches like that, but at the same time, and he's gonna help you get your draft stock up, and
Yeah,
he's turned that program around. He definitely deserves a lot of respect. But at the same time, it's like I said, I just don't know if he's that quite ready for a NFL coach. I think that he would be good for the Cowboys because he can challenge them. Um, but like challenge Mr. Dementia, old man, Jones, and so it's just gonna be matter of fact a win. Especially, I think that he's probably going to wait one more year while Shiloh stays there.
yeah.
And then maybe once Shiloh goes into the NFL, he'll try to make it happen where they both play on the same team and maybe go coach over there.
Do you think Shiloh can? I don't know that
I
he's
haven't
quite
really paid
talented
attention to
enough.
his game much, to be honest with you. It's just
Maybe because of his name, but I don't know. I know he did just score his first touchdown this season and stuff, but we'll have
yeah,
to see. We'll have to see. But anyways, let's get into the game. So before we do that, there's one more news for Utah that we talked about it this week, but last week, but it is official. Brandon Rose out for the season. I think it was a leg injury of some sort. I can't remember now, but yeah, talk about this season, man, just riddled with injuries. Keithy was also out for this game. Obviously, big target for us, and yeah, we haven't been playing our best ball in general, but definitely hurts when you don't have your best players out there. And Brandon Rose, he, like we talked about, looked like he was better than Isaac Wilson, at least for this season. So tough to see there. Sucks for him. Especially he could have maybe proved himself. And if he wasn't going to be the quarterback for Utah, maybe, for a little bit lower level of school, kind of like Bryson Barnes got the starting job at Utah State.
Yeah.
It would have been cool for him. So hopefully he still gets something, but sad for him. But now let's get into the game. And it started off well for the Utes. Shador threw a pick on the very first play. They were talking about it where, the Utes defense is going to disguise a lot. They're going to show a lot of different coverages and try to confuse him. And we were still the number one defense in the Big 12 prior to this game. It's
Hmm.
wild to think, man. Wild to think, and shows how terrible our offense is. But I knew it as soon as he got it. I was like, oh my God, please get into the end zone. Please get into the end zone, because I knew we weren't going to on offense. But I think he only got to like the 20, 30-yard line, something like that.
Yeah.
And we get a field goal from there. And then after that, pretty much it was all Colorado. I mean, there were a couple of things like we stopped them and forced them into a fourth down, which they got us to jump and scored a touchdown on that play.
Yeah.
So, if you get that one play, you don't make a mistake there, then it's still 3-0. And then we don't do anything on offense, of course, and then give up a punt return touchdown. So, boom, just like that, 14-3, and it just kind of went off from there. Isaac definitely struggled early, man. I think at one point he was like 14 for 30 with 2 picks in the first half or something like that. Really took away the run game quickly as we got down big, so we couldn't, lean on that very much.
Yeah.
Um, a good kind of highlight, I guess, maybe one of the only ones, was Dorian Singer. He scored the first touchdown on Travis Hunter all season.
It was a
So
burner.
yeah, he got his ass, and we can hang our hat on that. If anything, this season, man. But fuck, after that, Hunter went and made up for it. Made a ridiculous grab, quadruple coverage, pretty much, triple, quadruple coverage. I mean, I could barely even see him with all the white jerseys around him, and it was on 4th and 8 too. Another fourth down play where he makes this jump ball grab and just freaking goes off. Think he got a touchdown or two in this game as well, and just freaking killed it, man. And now is definitely by far, I think, the runaway favorite for Heisman. I think he's like minus 500. I looked at in some odds. I think Ashton Genty's 2, and then Cam Ward's 3. Dylan Gabriel's slipping a little bit to 4. So I think that Heisman trophy is all but Travis Hunter's at this point. So yeah, they win 49-24. And I think with that kind of statement win, the way they look and the hype they get, that's where I'm going to put Colorado right above BYU, put them at 15, and
Mm.
then move BYU to 16. So that's kind of that was my thought process there. They do have the 2 losses, but I wonder how the committee will look at Colorado. Like, if they think Colorado's a better team, can BYU keep up with their offense? Their
Yeah.
defense is probably a little bit better, but we'll have to see. So I don't know. Other than that, I think Isaac, he did play well for like a quarter. He was like dialed it in. I think it was like 9 of 10 at one point, threw that touchdown, was looking good, and then threw a terrible pick after that. So he had a good quarter, but other than that, really not good, not that good for Utah. So yeah, what are your thoughts on this game? Colorado, Utah, and where do you think that they move to?
Yeah, I mean, I think Utah just beat down on themselves. They let Colorado State just take advantage of everything that they could. Obviously, your offense still continues to struggle. You still continue to struggle to have a quarterback who can stay healthy and play really well. That should be the number one recruiting position this year, where you get a couple good quarterbacks and have them develop with Isaac Wilson. Make sure that 2.6 million gets taken out of the the team. Just saying. Make
Or
sure he
more.
goes somewhere else
Or more, man.
or more.
Get some of
Yeah,
that
but
Dylan Gabriel money.
let's not talk about that still. Until he's
Had to say
gone, we'll reveal then. But
it.
I mean, overall, I think that Colorado just showed that they were ready to play all game. Derek was watching. I kept saying, "We're coming, we coming." And so I'm a big Sanders fan. I love what he's doing. I think that Shador's getting the hype. There's a reason why Hunter's now the number one spot for the Heisman because he has that hype with Dion and all of Colorado. But I agree. I still think that they probably could move up above BYU. I think that they could go up to that 15th, 14th spot. So I don't know a whole lot on where I would really put him, but I just know that this was a dominating performance. Utah didn't start kicking into gear until like the second half, where they actually started looking good, and then, like you
Yeah,
said,
I mean,
getting
we
those
were I think
picks.
it was like 24-35 at one point. We had the ball, and we
Yeah.
were driving, could have made it a field goal game possibly, and then that's when the pick happened, and then they
Yep.
scored two
Downhill.
touchdowns like right after that. So we had a chance, but then it just went
Yeah.
away pretty quickly. But yeah, I
Yep.
don't know. They're definitely going to pass Kansas State, obviously. But I wonder if they have, is beating Utah at home a big enough win for them to go above Texas A&M,
Yeah.
SMU. You know what I mean? That'll be
Right.
interesting. So I think they may pass them, Kansas State and BYU, but they might just keep BYU right above them as well.
Mm,
So we'll have to see what they do with that
sure.
there. Let's go on to what was 18, Washington State, but not anymore. They lose to New Mexico 38-35. So there goes our Pac 2 team. I think they have a chance to stay in, maybe drop to 24, but I could easily see them also drop out of the
100%.
playoffs as well.
Yeah, I agree on that one for sure.
Um, let's go to Louisville. They also lost, man. Just as it looks like they're coming back, getting better, they lose to Stanford 38-35. So definitely going to say they're going to be unranked.
Yeah, it's super unfamiliar territory for me with them because it looks like they're coming back. They're playing really well, put together a couple good performances, and boom, lose to nobody like Stanford. So, yeah, I agree. I think that they probably go unranked or maybe at that 25th spot, maybe.
Maybe, yeah. Well, let's go to Clemson. They defeated Pitt 24-20. So I think that they're going to move above those three teams, just above them that
Also,
lost, that being Louisville, Washington State, and Kansas State. So I think they move up to 17.
yep, agree. Clemson's still trying to hold into that top 15, trying to creep their way into that. So I think that they will probably move up to that 17, maybe 16 spot.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep. And then I'm going to say South Carolina, so South Carolina was 21. They defeated Missouri 34-30. I think they'll move up to 18 and pass, again, those three teams, that being Kansas State, Louisville, and Washington State.
yeah, I think after this, we kind of have the very, very similar approach on everything too. Like
Yeah.
big defeat for them, and so,
Yep.
or sorry, big win for them.
Mhm.
So, and with all the other teams losing, it's going to be a big jump for them to that three spots up.
Yeah. And then we got LSU hot off that blowout loss to Alabama. And what did they do to follow it up? They lose to Florida, who is dog
Dog
shit,
shit.
as we like to say. Anyways, and so yeah, LSU out of it now, man. They're definitely
Yep.
unranked. They were already at 22. So
Get
then
them out of
Missouri,
here.
we talked about, they lost to South Carolina. So they're gonna be out of there. And then we have Army that was 24. They had a bye week, but I think they're going to pass those teams that we've just talked about that lost above them. So I
Yep.
think they're going to move up to 19. And then we have Tulane, who beat Navy, blew them out 35-0. I think they'll move up to 20. Again, pass all those people. You agree with those
Yeah. No, I
rankings?
agree. Yeah, not a big upsets over there or really big games to really mention. Just a Army was on by, not really a big deal, and then their close neighbors, Navy, just got their butt handed. So
Yes, sir. Well, we'll talk about a few unranked teams that I think will make it in there. Arizona State, who we talked about, beating Kansas State. I think they're going to move up to 21.
yeah,
I'm going to guess. And then and then Iowa State, they beat Cincinnati 34-17. So kind of a big win for them to get back on track. They'll move up, I think, to 22. And then UNLV, they beat San Diego State 41-20. So I think they might crack the top 25. Those are the teams that I'm looking at there. And yeah, any thoughts on that, or did you see any other teams you think might crack into the top 25 after being unranked?
No, I mean we've said this in the after when you get to that like anywhere from 18 and down, it like changes almost every week because
Right.
there's competition or there's not really competition and teams are just creeping in. So I agree with you. I think that these teams will kind of move into those spots just because of all the big L's for those 18 or I guess really 17 and down.
Mm-hmm.
Or yeah, 18, 17 and down. So I agree. I think that some of those teams are going to move up and it's just going to keep going with 2 games left for majority of teams. You want to be in that top 25 just because it kind of helps with the recruiting a little bit. Being able to mention that you are in the top 25 in the nation is big, and so I don't know, a lot's going to change, man, in a couple weeks. So all the big
Yeah.
championships games happening after it, and rivalry week, so a
Yeah.
lot's going to change.
Gonna be interesting. And I know we got a big matchup. The Utes are welcoming Iowa State to town this Saturday. Think it's gonna be a gettable game for Utah. We're talking now. Your back's against the wall as far as making a bowl game. You got to get those 6 wins right. And so we
Yeah,
have Iowa State and UCF. UCF on the road, so I'm not too sure about that, but hopefully we can pull together for senior night, our last home game of the season. Maybe get an Iowa State win. I think it's gettable. That would be pretty cool. And then UCF, maybe more of a wild card. I know we struggle in the state of Florida. We don't really play too well down there usually.
yeah,
But it's later in the season, so maybe it's not going to be as hot, and we'll be a little bit better. But yeah, definitely interesting to see. I know Oregon. You said they're already clinched in the Big Ten, right? Because
yeah.
they got a bye, and
They
then
got to buy, and then
Washington.
they have Washington as
So
our
even if
last.
they lose, you know, they only got the one loss, right? And they can't be passed by either Indiana or Penn State or Ohio State based on
Yeah.
tiebreakers and stuff. So
Yep. Yeah, because the only one that could really pass us is Ohio State. But we have the tiebreaker
but
on
you got the
them.
tiebreaker, yeah.
So
So you're
and
in there,
Indiana will probably
yeah.
end up losing against Ohio State. So
And even if they win, you're
I
still
think we're
in
good.
because Ohio State loses.
Yep.
So yeah, I think you're pretty much guaranteed a spot in the playoffs too, for
Yep.
sure. Even if you
I
do
would
lose
love
the
to
Big
stay
Ten.
at that one spot just because then we avoid. I don't know if you looked at the playoffs or how
Hmm.
the standing is or whatever, how they
Yeah,
set
the
it up.
bracket.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's perfect because then we only have to face really 2 big tough teams in that standing, and I would rather have it that way instead of having to face all these big teams that, the other side has to go through with Georgia and Texas. We'd have to really play Ohio State, and then I forget who the other one was, but, like, we beat Ohio State, we're probably gonna play them again, so I'd
Dude,
rather stay at
imagine
that number
three.
1 spot and have that
Imagine
one.
3 games between those teams, man. That would be electrifying.
Yeah, that'd be insane just to back to back to back. But yeah, well, I mean, we'll have to see. A lot could change after these, like you said, the conference championships. So
And that's the thing too. You look at Indiana and Penn State possibly if let's say Indiana loses this game, I think that's still they're still going to be in the top 12 and possibly make the playoff and then they don't have to play a conference championship game. So they
and
kind of
yeah,
get the bye week there. So there's
yep.
going to be a lot of that stuff. So it's going to be interesting, man. We only got a couple more weeks, so yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to see how it pulls out. And yeah, let's see if Utah can salvage their season, maybe make a bowl game. We'll have to see. On the other side of this break, we'll get into the NFL. So we'll see you on the other side. And welcome back to another NFL episode. Feisty, you ready to get into this?
I am so ready. I know this is the NFL episode. I would love to be wearing a Texas, Houston, Texas, or I mean, sorry, forget Dallas Cowboys gear, but they suck.
They they kinda do, and that's a perfect segue. Let's get into our very new segment that I think is gonna be our favorite segment and a fan favorite, and that would be the
Dog
dog shit
shit.
hour. So let's get into it. Let's start with our regulars that we always talk about being
Dog
dog shit.
shit.
And let's start with the Saints and Browns. Now, a lot of both of these teams have probably made regular appearances here, but the Saints not so much anymore. They have won two in a row since firing their coach, and the Riz Hour, Coach Rizzy, or the adult Rizzler, whatever you want to call him, has got them bumping, man. And they beat the Browns 35-14.
There we go.
And man, dude, the Saints look good. Taysom Hill has a historic performance. He's the fourth highest fantasy like tight end of all time, but obviously, they use him in different ways. He was passing the ball, he was running the ball. He had
Yeah.
7 carries, 138 yards, and 3 touchdowns rushing. Added 8 receptions for 50 yards on the passing side of it, and had a 75-yard touchdown in there as well. So, dude, just a freaking dog, and it looks like Coach Riz is actually using him again. I feel like they really have gone away from using him like that, and clearly they should because he's a weapon, man.
No, for sure, and he's a utilities guy. He's the guy that you don't have a game plan for because you don't know where they're going to use him.
Mm-hmm.
I know he was dealing with some injuries and stuff, so it's good to see him finally healthy, where he can actually contribute to the team. And like you said, he's just now being used as the weapon that he really is, where he could play the quarterback, he could play on the defense if he really wanted to, he could
Special
play
teams.
special teams, he could be your kicker, he could be your quarterback. It no matter, just put him in. And
Yes,
what a
sir.
huge performance, man. Definitely a big win for the Saints. And the Browns, Nick Chubb's, oh wait, Amari Cooper's not there. They still
Ah,
continue to suck, and they continue to just be continue to be dog
dog shit.
shit.
That's
So
why they are a regular stay on this part of it. So let's move on to another regular stay, and that would be the New York Jets, who are a
dog
dog shit.
shit.
Man, after they lose to the Colts 28-27, and this is with Anthony Richardson back in the lineup, man, and he played well. I think he was more comfortable, he's more in command of the offense, and maybe this benching, you know, worked out well for him, and he's got his head on straight.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe they can go on a run. I know they got the Lions this week, but their schedule after that is pretty favorable. So yeah, man, it'll be interesting to see. But then on the other end, the Jets losing their seventh game out of their last eight, bro, and just looking terrible while doing it. Listen to this here. I saw this on Bleacher Report today.
Oh, I knew you, I love that you're gonna bring this up because I literally have it pulled up too. We
Nice.
hate Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe we both have something. Maybe you have an Aaron Rodgers thing. I mean, this has to do with him, but
Okay,
mine was
okay,
going to be the Jets' first 5 drives of the game. So let me read it out to you.
okay.
3 plays, 9 yards, punt. Next one, 3 plays, 1 yard, punt. Next play, 3 yard, 3 plays, 1 yard, punt. Next one, 4 plays, 9 yards, turnover on downs. And their next one, 3 plays, 9 yards, punt.
So they had both
uh,
punting yards.
yeah, they what is that? A combined freaking 29 yards and 5 drives. Oh
Sheesh.
boy, that is pretty dog
Dog
shit
shit.
to me. And you're talking maybe their quarterback is also a little
Hey,
dog
hey,
shit.
let me tell you the stat because who's behind that offense? Who's the commander of that offense? Who's the I want this guy, I want that guy? Just not working out. So I saw this on Bleacher Report as well. It shows the winning percentages for the Jets starting QBs as of the past however
Ooh,
long I
yes,
forgot
yes,
what it was.
yes.
So Zach Wilson, 3.64. or sorry, 0.364.
Mhm.
Sam Darnold, 0.342. And Mr.
Wait a minute.
Ashwakanda, last place at 0.273. So,
Oh.
Zach Wilson, better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers?
Oh my gosh, Sam Darnold definitely right, but man, that is embarrassing to see. I saw that Michael Scott meme with his old boss where he just looks out of place or whatever, and it was like highest expectations in 25 years, Jets, lowest expectations in 25 years, Patriots, 3-8 record.
Yeah, it really does come down to just this is, and I also saw that actually to quickly put into this. Aaron Rodgers he's not going to retire next year. Why? What else do you got to play for, dude? He says that he wants to come back. I don't know. He said that he doesn't know if it's going to be with the Jets. The
I
Jets basically
wouldn't,
went and
man.
got everybody you needed. So I don't know if you really have a choice to go anywhere else. What are you going to do? Have them go get all those guys back for you? So,
Dude, and the thing is, man, like, what is the excuse? Because you got a dog of a running back who they kind of came alive in the second half, and a lot of it on the back of Brees Hall. And
yeah.
like we talked about, they have Braylon Allen as their backup, and obviously Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson are both top receivers in this league. I mean, if anybody else had them, man, that's just insane. And their defense should be good, but it's not playing good.
Nope.
So that they're like, I don't know what team he could go to that would be, I mean, any team would be better than the Jets, but I don't know, man. I don't know. There's just not much else to say except for the fact that they are dog
Dog
shit.
shit. Maybe the Raiders?
What's that?
Maybe he goes to the
Maybe
Raiders?
he goes to the Raiders. I don't
Then
know.
Devontae
That's a good
Adams follows him?
back to the Raiders.
Oh
I don't
my
know if they want Aaron Rodgers. I bet you they want one of these young quarterbacks going up. But
yeah.
that's a good segue to another team that belongs on the dog
Dog
shit
shit.
hour, which is the Dolphins versus the Raiders game. And it is, you could kind of put both of these teams on there. Both of these teams have had a terrible start to the season, but we're not going to talk about the Dolphins in this one. They beat the Raiders 34-19 in a pretty dominant fashion in this game. One that I'm sure not a lot of people were watching that weren't fans of either of these teams. I mean, the Raiders just have nothing going on for them. The Dolphins are a little bit healthy, and like I said, they've played well recently. I feel like they played some tough teams and had very close losses. They get the win here. One cool thing I wanted to mention: Jonnu Smith, he goes off in this game for 2 touchdowns, and he on one of his touchdowns he threw the ball up and he just chucked it. Like he like kind of spun around and went like this, and it actually went right to his family and landed in his oldest son's hands in the stands. And he
That's cool.
said, he like promised, he's like, I had no idea that they were even sitting there until later in like the fourth quarter. So I was like, that's crazy, man. Imagine how lucky that is after your dad scores a touchdown, fucking chucks it to you and not even trying. That's
That's
pretty
right.
cool. So yeah, that was overall good game for them. Someone who's not dog shit on the Raiders is Brock Bowers, man. He's went off 13 catches, and that was a rookie tight end record. And he gets 126 yards to go along with that and a touchdown, man. So the dude continues to ball out for the Raiders. But the rest of that team,
Dog
dog
shit.
shit.
Yeah, I mean, you put it really 1, 2, 3 punch, right? Like they're
hmm
just continuing to struggle, and it's good to see Dolphins coming back on the opposite side of things, and kind of it shows without Mister Tua, which he kind of had a really good game too, and
Yep.
I know Tyreek Hill had a touchdown as well, so it just shows that they have a really good chemistry. They're a good team there, and without Tua, they really are nothing. They
Yeah.
really did show that they had one win and like however many games he was gone for, so yeah, that's not a whole lot to say there. And the Raiders continue to suck. And you think, what did he say? What does Shador Sanders there say every week?
Thank you, God. Thank you, God,
Amen.
after every loss.
Trying to go to those big old Vegas town. So
Yes, sir. Well, let's talk about the biggest dog
Dog
shit
shit.
performance of the week. And that, oh, maybe we should make a trophy, a dog shit trophy. And that would go this week to the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah.
Now, they did run into a buzzsaw that is the Detroit Lions, but still, they lose 52-6. Oh my God, dude. This was such a terrible game. I had it on one of the screens in my YouTube thing just because I had, oh man, talking about another dog shit running back. I put him in last minute because Tank Bisbee was out. So I thought I knew it was against the Detroit Lions. It would be tough, but I thought he would get, a lot of carries, a lot of touches, and the Lions defense was just too good. And Mac Jones proved again to be dog
Dog
shit.
shit.
But the Lions on the complete other end of that, man, every single drive they scored. I think it was 7 straight drives, all touchdowns, and then a field goal on their 8th drive, man. So talk about the top and the bottom of this NFL landscape, I guess. That was crazy game. Lions continue to kill it. Their schedule gets tougher going forward, but still look like the class of the NFL right now.
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm a big fan of Mr. Dan Campbell, so they continue to show that they're a solid team. They continue to perform really well as a team, and so you really can't complain anything that they do. We thought that with in Hutchinson going down, that their defense was going to slow down, but their defense just picked it up, and they traded for a really good replacement for him, and they've continued to do what they need to do every week and continue to win. And like you said, Jaguars just look really, really bad. And it sounds like there's going to be some big offense or offseason changes um,
Yeah,
this
man.
offseason because Doug Peterson's losing it a big time over there.
Yeah, he said after it, like, it starts with him after the worst loss in franchise history. Now I respect that take from him,
Yeah,
and putting it on him, but with the timing, I don't know if you just want to say that, bro,
you
because
should make a case for yourself, not necessarily
well,
say.
and right now you're gonna lose your job, and and like if
Yeah,
you say that, like, it's gonna make it easier. I feel like for the owner to be like, yeah, you're right. It does start with you. Get the hell out of here.
get
But
out of here. You're done.
I think that they will. Yeah, let him go. Like you said, at this season, I think you can't quit on Trevor Lawrence. You just paid him this year, but yeah, talk about a dog
Dog
shit
shit.
franchise. So let's move along. Let's talk about the Vikings and Titans. So not much to talk about this game because the Titans are dog
Dog
shit. Vikings beat them 23-13. Not a great game overall. Boring to watch for sure. Vikings didn't really run the ball well. They didn't pass the ball well. A little bit better. Sam Darnold 20 for 32, 246 yards and 2 touchdowns. But overall, like, they couldn't really run the ball, and it was mostly their defense. So their defense definitely back on it, but Titans just are a dog
Dog
shit,
shit.
which is why I picked the Vikings over them, just because simply it's the Titans. So let's move along. Let's talk about this Broncos Falcons game,
Yeah.
which I thought would have been a really good game. But are the Falcons dog
Dog.
shit? I don't know if they are, but they definitely deserve to be on here this week because they lost 38-6. And let me talk about your boy a little bit because, like I've said, we're not talking about him enough. Bo Nix, he
Took
goes
it.
28 for 33.
Yep.
Incredibly efficient. I mean, those are fucking Oregon numbers for him right there.
Yeah.
307 yards, 4 touchdowns. I mean, Denver did whatever they wanted to, ran the ball. Bo Nix was definitely the best player on the field that day. He goes off. They just look like, they trust him more. The team is rallying around him, and it's just awesome to see. And one more fact before I let it get you to it. Bo Nix right now, he has 19 total touchdowns this season. And if you want to look at the other rookie quarterbacks, Jane Daniels next closest with 14. My guy Drake May has 10, and he's played like what, 5, 6 less games. So
Yeah.
just want to say,
Yeah.
but and Talk about another guy who is a dog
Oh,
shit
shit.
and has played the entire season. Caleb Williams only with 9. But back to Bo Nix, man. How amazing is this? And way to go for your guy Bo Nix and the Broncos with a dominating performance, staying in the playoff hunt.
Yeah, I mean, I called this from the start. I told you that it was just gonna take him a couple games. I remember telling our buddy Brian and another buddy Tyler, telling him that just give him time, man. He's gonna need time, and Sean Payne seems to work something out with him, where they were getting into those heated conversations at the sideline, but they seem to have it figured out. Him and beautiful thing is him and Troy Franklin have now connected back to back games for a
Mhm.
touchdown. So it seems like he's actually starting to perform because when he preseason he was like in the fifth spot for or like even sixth or seventh spot as receiver. So it's good to see him coming back and coming back to life and having that Oregon connection. And they will continue to ball out. They continue to show that they're a solid defensive team, but then now their offense is picking up and wow, do you this rookie race is getting really really close now because obviously Caleb Williams sucks and he should be benched. Drake May I think could be put up a case for it, but I just think that
Eh,
the other
yeah,
two are just gonna
he's been out too long, and
yeah
while he's played well, he's looked good. One, we're not winning games.
yeah
Two, like a lot of times he doesn't put up the crazy stats.
right
He'll just play well, and I think he is a dog, and we'll get into that later. But a lot of times it's just the eye test, what you see with him, and
yeah
the fact that we haven't seen real offense in so goddamn long that it's just refreshing to see. And so I think Patriots fans have a little bit different eye of him, but still, I think everybody's respecting him around the league. But yeah, Bo Nix, man, I think is really heating it up with Jaden Daniels right
yeah
now. And Jaden Daniels has kind of slipped off. They've talked about since his rib injury, he's not running as much, and so that's kind of going off for him. And
yeah
yeah,
that's
but
a
Bo
big
Nix
hit
is
for him.
continuing to ball it. So we thought it was a runaway. Jaden Daniels got it, but I think Bo Nix deserves to be in that conversation at least. And if he continues to outperform through these last few weeks, I think the award is his.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, it's just gonna get tougher and tougher for both teams, but it's gonna be who's that rookie that can lead their team to the playoffs and maybe even make a push for it. So, yeah, go Broncos, go for Bo Nix as he continues to become that solidified quarterback that I knew he really could be. So,
Hell yeah, man! I know you more than anybody I know have definitely been on his case. He definitely didn't look as good, but you called it, man. You called it exactly. He just needed some time. He needed to get used to it. And I think they kind of had the reins on him a little bit, and they've
yeah,
slowly let him off. And Sean Payton is showing why he's a great coach in this league. So it's awesome to see, man. Very awesome to see. Well, let's move along to our next game in the dog shit hour, and this will be the Green Bay Packers versus the Chicago Bears.
hmm
So one of these teams is dog
dog.
shit, and one of them is not. So let's see which one it is. So a few things to talk about. So we talked about last week how they fired their offensive coordinator after the loss to the Patriots. And after this, the new Bears OC says he is going to simplify the offense for Caleb Williams and get back to the basics. What are your thoughts on those comments?
Dude, when I saw that, I really wanted to send it to you and said, this guy is
This
number
guy
one
that
pick."
was supposed to be the number one pick, the
Oh my
generational
gosh.
talent that would have been picked over Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence. This the guy we need to simplify it
Simplify?
for?
Yeah, I when
Dang.
I saw that, I was just like shocked. And I think that to put it in perspective, I think that Caleb Williams thought he was gonna come in the NFL and he was just gonna run all over the place. He was
Mm-mm.
gonna do the things that he did in college. But those big boys are built different in the NFL and they will catch you quicker than you think you can escape. And he's learning that really, really fast. Keenan Allen hasn't done jack shiz
Mm-mm.
on that team, and their whole offense is just continues to struggle. Their defense always was, good. It's almost like how they like to compare it realistically. It's like the Utes defense, how they're super good, and then they
Yeah.
struggle really, really hard on the offensive side. And we hate. Caleb Williams, and so I don't want to compare the two, but it's just very similar, very very similar game style, and they continue to really like struggle. And when I heard that, I was like, "Eee, might as well just bench him."
Yeah. I don't think he's bench worthy yet. I don't know. There were talks about it, and some, like I said, some players wanted it, but I
Yeah,
think he's still got some talent. He's got the escapability. It just gotta it really does need to simplify it, get back to the basics, and you gotta realize too that it is different in the NFL. There you
yeah,
those teams that you were playing at USC, like I always say, man, there's a reason that he struggled against Utah and never beat Utah. And that's because Utah is the best defense he played. And now, to be fair, he put up some points against us, got injured in the Pac 12 championship. So I'll give you that. But like, other than that, he's Heisman, runs through everybody. But those defenses in college are nothing compared to the NFL. And I think
100%.
he does need to simplify, go back to the basics. And that's why, I think it was good. And I wanted Drake May to sit for a while,
Yeah,
and I think, that is super helpful. There's just too much. You put everything on this guy's shoulders. And I talk about it again without giving him an offensive line. And Romo Dunze is going to be a special guy in this league. I still believe that, but that
yep,
was not the right pick for the Bears. They needed an offensive lineman. They could have gotten offensive lineman, and they clearly are feeling the effects of this now. Now, with all that said, they played a decent game in this game and actually were winning at times, had a chance to win at the end. It was a great back and forth game. They had the lead. Jordan Love plays Jordan Love football. He throws picks, but he throws amazing plays, runs for touchdowns, passes for touchdowns. Really awesome to see for him. You want him to clean up those red zone interceptions for sure.
yeah,
But then we get to our second blocked field goal in 2 weeks. So the Broncos lost off a blocked field goal to the Chiefs, and then the Packers win off a blocked field goal. So after all that said, man, Caleb Williams did what he needed to do to win that game and drove them down the field into easy field goal range. Now, with this blocked field goal, there's talks about it because they keep switching up the rules so much, and I don't really understand them quite well enough. So, like,
yeah,
I'm not going to say that I know them perfectly, but basically, what I understand is you can't line up right over the snapper.
yeah,
Um, and they did that and they pushed right through him, blew right through him, and that's why they got it, is as far as I've understood. So the Bears are filing a complaint about that, actually, saying that the Packers, sorry, committed a penalty on that. So not much you can do there. I don't know what the complaint will get them, but yeah, Packers able to skip away with this one and stay in the race for the NFC North and definitely in the race for the playoffs.
yeah. I mean, Green Bay continues to be the team that just pulls together when they need to and wins no matter however they need to win. So I'm a big fan of Jordan Love, and I think that they should um continue to be a successful team. It's going to be hard as their schedule kind of starts to build up a little bit more, but hey, man, you really can't stop a team when they're that dominated on both sides. Their defense is clicking really well. Their offense is clicking really well. There's a reason why this game was such a low scoring game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because both defense, there's a really good defenses on both sides. So, and anytime the Bears lose, it's almost as good as the Jets losing, baby. Caleb Williams is
Oh
dog shit.
shit.
So we love to see that. So
100%. All right, let's move to Sunday night football. What? Sunday night football? Bengals, Chargers? Who's dog shit here? Well, let's talk about it. Let's get into it and find out. So, it was a crazy game. The Chargers came out swinging, firing on all cylinders. Your other Oregon quarterback, Justin Herbert, was slicing and dicing all
mhm.
over the field, making it look easy out there. They get out to a 24-6 lead, and it looks like we got a dog
Dog
shit
shit.
game going forward, but we did not. The Bengals make a second half comeback, score 21 straight points, and it starts to look like the same old Chargers that we've seen time and time again, where they blow these leads Um, but it wasn't. J.K. Dobbins and the Chargers drive down. They get a game sealing touchdown as he dives into the end zone to win the game 34-27. So it's not the Chargers, man. It is not the Chargers. They are definitely the furthest thing from dog shit right now. They are 7-3, really cooking, climbing their way up the AFC West standings right now. So it's really awesome to see for them. And again, we talk about that in it's the exact different formula than the Bears ran, where they picked an all lineman. I've talked about it time and time again. Where that's the route that really seems to prove to be the best way to go.
Yeah,
And they are running the football. They are taking pressure off Justin Herbert to where now he can win a game with his arm, obviously. And we know that he can,
yeah,
but when you put it all on him and you don't have the threat of a running game, it just makes it that much harder.
yeah,
So, yeah, it's really awesome to see from the Chargers. Bengals dropped to 4-7 on the season. And I just want to say it's not because of their offense. I wanted to read a few stats to you guys. So, Joe Burrow, 27 passing touchdowns. That's first in the NFL. 3,028 passing yards. First in the NFL. Jamar Chase, he's going for the triple crown. And I
ooh,
don't know if you remember Cooper Cup, the last one to do it when he had that crazy season. And the
yeah,
Triple Crown is leading the league in receptions, yards, and touchdowns. And he is currently first in all of those 12 touchdowns, 73 receptions, 1,056 receiving yards. So
wow,
it's not the offense, man. It's the defense. The defense of the Cincinnati Bengals is a dog shit. So, yeah, what a crazy game. What are your thoughts on there? And is there any life left for the Bengals? And what's the Chargers' potential? So I'll ask you that as well.
Yeah, I mean the two big thing right now that I would say into this game is the Dodgers are killing it with J.K. Dobbins. He was the great add-on to this team. Them getting rid of Austin Eckler was really good to get a younger running back who can still do the same things, receive from the
Dude,
back.
comeback player of the year, I'd say
Yeah,
too.
yeah, and being able to do the same things but just more explosive, younger, like I said, and so I mean, the Chargers look like they're not missing anything, and they continue to show that they're a really good team. Mr. Herbert is playing really well. You could see him on the sidelines having a good time now. Anytime he does anything, he just looks motivated. He looks really
Hmm.
excited, and I think that they continue to do that, and that's because they build really good offensive line, like you said, and their receivers. Like I said last time, there's not a true number one, but it seems like they're all number ones at times. When one goes the ghost mode and hasn't done anything really, another one picks up the slack. So that's been really awesome for them, and they're not having to worry about who the true number one. And I'm going to continue to say that. So, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, good for them. And then for the Bengals, I think it's going to continue to be a struggling season for them. I think that they're going to have to figure out a way to maneuver. I think they don't really because their season doesn't really get any easier, right? And so their schedule at least doesn't get any really easier. But they're gonna have to figure out a way to build off that draft. They're not gonna get rid of people and say this is a rebuild season because I think Joe Burrow's playing like you just shared those numbers, and they're
Hmm.
both playing really well. Sucks when you get rid of Joe Mixon, huh? It sounds like that's a big miss for you guys because you can't move the ball down.
Yep.
You're doing everything else really well, and then you need to figure out how to build that defense this offensively because, or sorry, this offseason, you need to figure out how to build that defense because it's going to be huge for them to make a comeback next year. This year's probably a wash up, just like,
It looks like it. It
yeah,
definitely does. Because I mean, you look at it. I think I heard some stats about, like, I think there's been one team since they went to 7 teams in the playoffs. There's been one team that made it in on 9 wins, possibly. Now I could be wrong, but they're really saying that you got to win 10 games to get into the playoffs, which means they would have to win out.
yeah,
So it's going to be tough for them. But yeah, the Chargers, man, they look good. And talk about them too, because they got rid of people. They got rid of Keenan Allen and they got rid of Mike Williams. They got rid of those flashy weapons. But who did they keep? Because the thing is, they were running out of options. like just like the Bengals are, where who do you pay? Who do you pay?
Yeah,
And they decided to keep the guys like Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa. Really talk about,
defensive.
and that's
Yeah,
what a lot of people talk about, right? O line, D line wins you games, and they kept those to shore up the defense. Focus on the running game. Two running backs that, even like you said, two probably don't have to, not paying that much. So yeah, man, it's awesome to see for the Chargers for sure.
yep.
Now let's move along to this Monday night football game, which you picked. And it's the Texans versus the Cowboys. And who did you pick for this one? Do you go with your
I
Cowboys?
picked the best team in Dallas, which
Uh-huh.
is just kidding. It's the best team in Texas, and that's the Houston Texans. Man, I just feel like the Dallas Cowboys don't have anything going on for them. This is a washed up season, and so as they continue to build off of it and kind of figure out what they're gonna do the draft and the off season, I think somebody named McCarthy will probably be fired. So, um, and I think that it's going to be a big change for them. But I just knew that Texas, or the Houston Texans, was just going to pull this one away because they just have a better overall defense, offense. Our defense is struggling, and that was supposed to be what keeps us in the game, and they really haven't. And as you can tell, this game right now, they're losing
Yeah.
pretty
I was gonna
badly, and
say, as
so
we were recording the podcast, like I had these highlights on and stuff, and right as we're recording, talk about dog shit, man. Cooper Rush, he gets the ball stripped from him, falls into your lineman's hands. He runs with it
it's
for like 5 yard, or not even 5 yards, but he just
like 3
tries
yards.
and then gets it stripped from him, and they score a defensive touchdown. And man, Joe Mixon running all over the place. Me and you, we just talked about how you beat West, man. Me and you in a tight battle right now. I have a 4 point lead with nobody on there, and you got CJ Stroud and Joe Mixon, who Joe Mixon's got 2 touchdowns for you early in this game. And I don't know. It looks like you're going to pull that one out. We're currently in the fourth quarter. Texans up 27-10. So I think we'll just go ahead and give you those points there
How
for
many
your
yards
lock of the for
how
your
many
lock
yards
of the
do they
week.
need on that one?
How many what?
How many yards do you so Mixon and
Mix in. So you're
yeah,
4 points. So you need, I don't know, 40,
and
40 yards. I think rushing, I don't know. Is passing the same? Is
I think
passing like
passing a
10
little
yards
bit
is
more
one
because it
point?
gives you the reception.
No, it doesn't give you the reset. I can't remember. Maybe it's 25 passing yards is 1 point or something like that.
Mm.
Anyways, but if you get a touchdown from either one of them, it's over. So, and if I
Which
would
it
have just
looks like
played
the
CD,
Cowboys are working out for me.
talk about a dog
Dog.
shit decision, man. It was me deciding last minute, I think, like I said, to play Travis Etienne over CD Lamb. CD's got 8 receptions, 93 yards. If I played him, I would have kicked your ass, but god
Damn
damn
it.
it, I made that decision right
Guess
before
guess who
kickoff
dropped
too, bro.
ATN too?
I've picked him up and dropped him since then. I really didn't believe in
Uh
him at all, but it was just because Tank was out, and it was a
uh
mistake. I shouldn't have
yeah,
believed.
I dropped
Hand
him
up,
a long time
hand
ago.
up. That one's on me. That one's on me. I
That was
can't
well
blame
planned.
anybody except for myself if I lose this game. So, all
Yeah.
right, let's finish out the dog shit section with a player. Daniel Jones,
Hmm.
after the bye week, is benched for Tommy DeVito. So long, Daniel Jones. What a ride it was. But I am afraid, my friend, you are dog
Dog shit.
shit. So,
Yeah, I mean him and Mr. Mac Jones, those two are just so bad, dude. I don't know who's worse, him or Mac Jones, but
ugh.
they really need to get out of the league and they need to continue to go somewhere else because and they need to be backup quarterbacks. They're not good as a starter quarterbacks, and even as a starting or backup quarterbacks, they need to be the backup to the backup. So,
Let's go to
um,
the XFL, I think,
yeah,
man.
no big surprise here, man. I think that they'll still be around. But Daniel Jones has just struggled, as never was never the guy, and you picked him over Barkley. Like That just did not make
Dude,
sense to
I
me,
know,
so
but we've been hammering that drum. We don't even need to get into it
yeah.
again. But I like because I know if I do, I'm gonna go on it for 15 minutes. But what a fucking dumb
Yep.
decision, man. And I feel like it's because you put that on Hard Knocks too. That dude should definitely be like fired. And
Yeah.
Joe Shane seems like a nice guy. Seems like a good guy. Seems smart until he did that. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. And then you see I think that their owner has come out and say he's not prepared to make any changes. But I think, like I said before, man, new quarterback that's already started, new coach coming, and new GM. I think the Giants just need
Yep.
to freaking burn it all up at this point. All
Yeah.
righty, Feisty. I really enjoyed that. What a segment. Thank you for joining me for the
Oh,
Dog shit
shit.
hour. Let's get into some good teams, some good games. And let's start out with Thursday night football, man. Commanders and Eagles. This was a really good game. It was a defensive first half, kind of boring first half. We did have Brian Robinson back in the lineup for the
Yeah.
Commanders, so that was good to see for them. He got a touchdown. But then in the second half, man, all Eagles, and you just talked about it, Mr. Saquon Barkley just freaking pops off in the second half, has two touchdowns, and they win it 26-18 after a final run from the Commanders, brought it within one score, but then they needed a offensive or an onside kick, which we know that those are next to impossible to complete. So
Agreed.
fly, Eagles, fly, baby. You got to keep saying that.
Yeah, I mean, it's the continuation of a good team who continues to improve every week. And Barkley was the biggest and best add-on for them. As you can see, what he's been able to do for them throughout this whole season. So, yeah, dumb for the Giants to give a division rival, a great running back like that, and he continues to show why he's worth what he's worth, and the Eagles are fine giving him that kind of money. And fly, Eagles, fly.
Man, they keep going. I know how much that kills you, but yeah, hell of a game Thursday night football on a run right now. Let's keep it going. I I don't remember who they have this week. I wanted to say it was the Steelers Brown. Oh, okay, never mind. So goes the run. So goes the run. It was fun while it lasted. um, but let's move along. Chiefs Bills, the game that maybe most people were excited about, and it lived up to the hype, man. Chiefs Bills, it always does. When it's Patrick Mahomes, when it's Josh Allen, you're gonna have a show.
Yeah.
And we did have some news because I think we talked about it. Isaiah Pacheco, he was activated from IR. I got Kareem Hunt for one more week. I'm gonna miss him so bad. I really hope they use some sort of two back system because Hunt has definitely proven himself like to be a good guy. But dude, Pacheco is just
Another
different,
animal.
man,
Yeah.
and he's a lot younger.
Yep.
So yeah, I don't know about that one. Gonna be hopeful for me, but yeah, what a game, man. And it was kind of back and forth to start this game. I believe that the Bills, yeah, they start out with an early touchdown. Um, the Chiefs scored two touchdowns in the second, with Bills getting one and a field goal. And then we have a scoreless third quarter before a crazy fourth quarter. And man, I gotta say, I'm usually not a fan of the aggressive decisions, but in this scenario, when you have Patrick Mahomes on the other side, it makes sense. And the thing is, like, you can't play safe when Patrick Mahomes is on the other side, and that is not what Sean McDermott did. He went for it on fourth down, and Josh Allen gets a game-sealing 26-yard touchdown run
Nice.
on that drive to give the Chiefs their first loss of the
Yeah.
NFL season. No more undefeateds, baby. What are your thoughts on that Chiefs Bills classic matchup in Buffalo?
Yeah, I mean, it was just a great game, especially the way Mr. Josh Allen was able to walk it off with that just impressive touchdown, that run that nobody was gonna bring him down. You knew he was very determined to get that, and he just kept piling on people and pushing through, and then for him to get that on the Chiefs that they have not been able to beat for I don't know how long now.
Well,
This
that's
whole
the
franchise.
thing. So you look at it. The since I think it's since Allen and Mahomes have both been in the league. Um, Josh Allen and the Bills undefeated against the Chiefs in the regular season,
Yeah, and then
but then in the postseason,
he owns them.
Patrick Mahomes undefeated against the Buffalo Bills. So does this
Yeah.
win? I don't know. They say like, does it really matter? And obviously the Bills need to show up in the playoffs, which they never do.
Yep.
But I don't know, man. This Bills team, even without Stephon Diggs and Amari Cooper was back. He had a couple of good catches. It wasn't like a crazy good game for them, but they just play such good football on all phases. Running game,
James Cook cooking.
passing game. Josh Allen is cutting down the turnovers. So I don't know. I in the Chiefs, we've been talking about them all year. They've been 9-0, but they haven't played like great football,
Yeah.
you know, really. They haven't really shot or surprised us or been like, well, I guess they have surprised us because they haven't been like Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes hasn't been Patrick Mahomes. Kelsey definitely hasn't fucking been Kelsey. I'll tell you that much. He got me like
Yeah.
2.8 points in fantasy this week. I think we both had a stinker at our tight end positions. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like the Bills at this point look better than the Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, James Cook too. You got to give props to that guy, man. He
Mm-hmm.
keeps cooking.
Mm-hmm.
He is like every
Let
game. I think he at least has one or two touchdowns too.
I was gonna
So
say you gotta let
James
James
Cook,
cook.
let
And they do.
James Cook, baby. Yeah, he's just showing that he's a dog and continues to impress. I feel like everybody in this and that team because they are so well rounded overall, and so I don't know, man. It's gonna be interesting if they can finally get that curse over it, where they can finally defeat the Chiefs. But Chiefs have been without one of their good players, and now that they're gonna get him and how explosive he is, it might be a different animal, baby. So we'll have to see once that season or the once that playoff time comes, because
Mm-hmm.
Old City is not fun to play with. So
Oh yeah, and I think that they kind of both said that after the game. Like, we'll see you later. We'll see you
yep.
again.
So
And Josh Allen downplayed the win. It's like, this is just a regular season. Obviously, we gotta get over the hump, get the monkey off our back in the regular season or in the postseason. So, yeah, but they delivered in the regular season, and yeah, we'll see if they see him again. But two other AFC North juggernauts
yeah,
who might spoil that party: the Steelers and the Ravens. And I talked about it last week. Like, I was pissed, and stay on that train. I am still pissed that this game was in the 11 o'clock hour. It should have been
so,
freaking, even though Sunday Night Football was good, I feel like it should have been in the Sunday Night Football, definitely Monday Night Football. I mean, god damn, that's what I said too. But fuck, was this a good game, man? And I know our boy Wes was happy to see this because the Steelers reign supreme in the AFC North and get the 18-16 win. So let's
big
talk
one.
about it. One thing, Patrick Queen, who came over from the Ravens, he said that the Ravens didn't offer him a contract at all. So interesting to see there. And that definitely meant a revenge game for him. So there we go. And then this was just AFC North football, baby. I mean, it's exactly what everybody thought it was. It was a super defensive game.
Yeah.
Both defenses were playing real well. And the star of the show is Chris Boswell, baby. The last remaining member, they say, of the Killer Bees with Ben Roethlisberger, Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown. But the last one and the best one still standing, Chris Boswell, man, 6 for 6 on field goals, scores all 18 points for the Steelers, man. And this dude, he's just going off in a game where the AFC North kickers and really kickers all in all struggled. That was probably somebody we needed to talk about in the dog shit segment is the kickers, bro.
Yeah.
They were missing kicks this week.
Yeah,
And I
Justin
like
Tucker.
Justin Tucker missed 2 kicks in this game. We had Jake Elliott. He missed a few kicks in Thursday Night Football. Evan McPherson missed some kicks in Sunday Night Football. This was after the kickers went off to an amazing start to start the season.
Yeah.
Everybody was making 50-yarders and everything. So I don't know what's happened there, man, but the kickers definitely, yeah, belong to be in there this in the dog shit hour. But this was, yeah, overall really good game. Like I said, both defenses played well. Lamar Jackson, he had his worst game
Yeah.
of the season by far. I think he was less than 50% on completion percentage. And it still came down to the wire, man. Ravens scored a late touchdown. They get, but they need a 2 point conversion. It's 18-16, and the Steelers completely sniffing out. It looked like a Lamar run to the left. There was no chance on that play, and the Steelers get the win. And now I think have a 1.5 game lead in the AFC North, man.
Hey, if Wes was here, man, he would be glowing in this basket because that was a
Mhm.
great game from both teams, and especially to beat a division rival. It's always even sweeter. So, I didn't watch a whole lot of this game. I know, like I always say, Derek's a big fan, and he was watching it. I just looked at it here and there. But defense is defense, man. They stopped this game to the max, and Mr. Boswell just doing his thing and just continues to come through for the Steelers. I think he's just been the guy to really save this season for them. And so, I mean, I don't know. I feel like this was a good game. You wanted a game to be close, and you got a
Mhm.
really close game. And now that the Steelers are a game and a half above the Ravens, it just gives them a little bit more firepower. So we'll see what ends up happening with the rest of the season. But right now, the Ravens need to start picking it up again because they are struggling a little bit. They're starting to show their weaknesses a little bit. So, yeah, I'm kind of curious to see what happens with the both of their rest of the seasons. I know that they put in Justin Fields for a play too, and I don't know if it was a design play.
Yeah.
And he could have
Mhm.
finished the game at that point, but he
Yeah,
slid
he
down too
did.
early.
He slid. Yep, exactly. Yep.
So I mean, good game overall. I mean, this is the kind of game that you kind of know this division brings in. Lamar Jackson was as flashy as he usually is. So hey, let's move on and continue to bask in this whole Steelers glory that they're doing right now with Mister Unlimited.
Unlimited.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, man, they're like they. I don't know where it was, but they're like, he's not gonna. They have to face today, Mister Unlimited.
Unlimited.
Crunchy freaking dude. Crunchy freaking dude. Weird, but he was able to do what he needed to do for them to get the win. So
Yeah, man, and I think after that win, you wondered if the Steelers could keep up with the offense, right?
yeah,
And I think they clearly proved that they can't, especially with their defense. I hate to say it, but we have to. The Steelers are Super Bowl
yeah,
contenders, I
yeah,
think,
yeah,
right now. And you have Russell Wilson playing his best ball in a long ass time. And talk about a win for both sides. The only loss for the Broncos is they still have to pay him, but obviously they get Bo Nix, and Steelers have a better home for Russell Wilson. So like win-win for both of those teams, and I think that he makes them a contender.
yeah,
He makes it so that George Pickens is a viable option. That running game stays open, and they clearly have probably the best defense in the entire NFL.
yeah.
So, yeah, man, congratulations to the Steelers on that one. It's hard to say, but yeah, they definitely deserve it. And the Ravens are still there, man. They lost to a really good team. Like that's it.
That's all you really can say on
Barely.
that one.
Yep. All right, well, let's get into our picks. So I had the Vikings over the Titans that I already talked about for this one. So I get the points for that. And then my underdog was the Patriots over to the Rams, and I did not get the points on this one. Unfortunately, the Patriots lose 28-22. Honestly, probably good for us. Like I said, we need a higher draft pick. That's what we're kind of doing. The seasons, we're young, we're developing, and that was a thing too. There was some like reports going on about Gerard Mayo and his staff, like people wondering if they are on the hot seat. They're not. They come out there like his whole staff, coordinators are good, which makes sense to me. I mean, it's a first season in a very new scene. Rookie head coach, rookie quarterback,
Yeah,
they're playing decent. They're playing well enough, and they're getting better, I think. So that's the thing. It's not like they're these dog shit. That's why I don't think they belong on the dog shit list this week, is because they're not losing like crazy. So
little
Um,
biased there too. So,
yeah,
I
maybe,
mean,
maybe. They are 3-8. They are 3-8. That's not really great, but
yeah,
um, couple good things that did happen. Christian Barmore, he returned to the field this week, so he was the one we talked about it a long time ago. He had blood clots,
yes,
so kept him out for a while. So really awesome to see him come back. He played and played well, man. I think it really helps that run defense. Um, so that was awesome to see there. And then another thing, I don't really, it's not really great, but it's kind of good, I think, for both parties. The Pats cut Tyquan Thornton, who is our second round receiver from 2022. Um, he just never worked out. Another wide receiver high pick that goes down the drain, man. And yeah, the Chiefs actually signed him just today. So trying to get another weapon there,
they
but
would do that. They would
right.
do that. Turn him into a superstar. Watch.
I don't know, man. It just never worked out. He had some injuries, but he never really lived up to his potential. So getting into this game, it started well. Drake May led the Patriots down the field for the opening touchdown of the game. Got a touchdown pass to Kendrick Bourne, who was actually benched last week in favor of the younger guys, but he comes out, has a good game, gets that touchdown. But then the Rams take over. Puka Nakua and Cooper Cup just go off in
Off
this
off.
game.
Yeah.
And it was weird, dude. Christian Gonzalez, another Oregon guy, um, he was like on them for a little bit and he kind of shut them down. Like I think they had maybe a catch or two apiece when he was guarding them, but then he was on Demarcus Robinson like the majority of the game,
That makes
which
no
is like,
sense.
why the fuck would you do that?
Yeah.
So a
Number
little
one guy
questionable
against.
there, not really understanding the game plan. He's clearly a shutdown corner, man. Like he is a take the number one out of the game, or the number like the way that Bill did it, where you take the number two out of the game and then you double the number one. But
Yeah.
anyways, man, it was overall a good game. The last Patriots touchdown was actually to an offensive lineman. It was a little trick play that they got him out in space, so that was kind of cool to see. But the Rams end up getting this game. Drake May throws bad pick. They're saying, was it on Drake May? Was it on the receiver? Did he run the wrong route? There was a miscommunication. But yeah, overall, I think good game for the Patriots. And hey, way to play well, but still lose so that we can, get a better pick.
Yeah. I mean, you put it to the. I mean, I don't even really have a whole lot of words to say to this game just because you Drake May is improving every week. I think that if he would have started, maybe you guys would have had a different record the way he's playing right now. But at the same time, I think it was good for him
Yeah,
to.
how
It's
how
just
much
a
did he
maybe,
develop
right? Like
there,
it's
right?
good for him where he was and where he started. We all thought maybe this is the week that he actually would start, and at least that's what I was saying. Is for him to start week 12 type of thing, but now he's proven that he's playing really well, and I think that they continue to get better. And like there's a lot of stuff that still needs to be developed and worked on as far as this whole team. But at the end of the day, man, you guys are still playing good games. And regardless if you lose or not, you just want that pick, right? Like you want to build your own line and maybe even have a second chance of another pick later down the road on the first round or even the early second round
Hmm.
picks. And so you're gonna get your guy, and you're gonna continue to improve every week as far as team kind of thing. Regardless if you're, I mean, nobody wants to be happy with losing games, but right now seems like the Jazz need to lose all the time to get the top pick, and then the Patriots need to lose to get the top pick. So sorry, bud. Sounds like you're
Doesn't
on a
really matter.
losing train.
Doesn't really matter if the Utes lose, but they are continuing to lose as well. And yeah,
That's just a
Kyle
natural
Busch went
thing
an
for them
entire
this season.
season without a win. All he did was lose. So yeah, it's
Oh
great. But no, honestly, I like at least it's good to see. And like I said earlier, alluded to earlier, Drake May looks good, and we actually have an offense
yeah,
that like you don't. Like I said, I don't fear of what's going to happen anymore when we have the ball or when Drake May throws the ball. Like I trust him, and
yeah,
he makes some rookie mistakes, and that's going to happen, and that's what this season is for. And now I kind of like the fact that he is, like out there and able to make those mistakes and learn from it and show the good things. And I
yeah,
think maybe like another hand up on me, like maybe this was a great plan. Maybe it was, just to sit those first 5, 6 games and put him in there, and because he's playing well, and I think he's going to develop well. So awesome to see there. But yeah, no points for that pick. And then the Packers were my random pick, so I got the 5 points there. We already talked about that game. We'll go into Wesley's picks. Those were the Lions were 13-point favorites over the Jaguars. Not even enough points there.
Yeah.
So he gets the points for those ones. He does not get his underdog as well. He picked the Commanders, who were 3.5, his favorite 3.5. Favorites over the Eagles, underdogs over the Eagles. Under the Eagles, whatever. They lost. And then his random was the Rams over the Patriots. So he does get the 5 points there. And then getting into like your picks, so we've already talked about like the Texans over the Cowboys. They're getting their ass kicked, and we have to give you some applause because Joe Mixon fucking gets his third touchdown, has what 35 fucking points for you right now, and you are on a 2-game winning streak against your co-host in the Couch Potato. So, got to give it up to you, man. Got to
Hey,
give it up to you.
hold on one sec. Ladies and gentlemen, don't call it a comeback, baby. That 1% is looking like 2% chance in the playoffs.
Tough
Boom.
game. Like I said, if I started CD, I would have won, I think. And if I just didn't make that decision 10 minutes before fucking kickoff, man, terrible for me because I think I was 5-5 and so was half of our league.
Yeah.
And all those 5-5 guys won this week. So making the playoffs a lot tougher for me. Got to win some games going forward. Fuck,
I'm
dude.
trying to go
Off of one
undefeated.
decision, man. Damn it. But hey, good for you, man. Good for
Hey,
you.
we'll
So,
take a win. A win's a win, and I'm trying to go undefeated these next like 4 games that we have left. Make
mhm.
a push for not to look like an idiot and not to look like a loser. Now that I'm tied for the least, or I think the person won 2 times, right? Two. That was the
Yeah, you
worst
might.
record.
Oh,
Two.
yeah, that's right. Yep.
Yeah.
So now you
So
don't have the worst record officially.
can I say, don't call it a comeback? Christian McCaffrey needed a comeback, and then Mixon needed to just keep
It
doing
was
his thing.
Mixon,
So
man. Mixon freaking killed it for you.
he's just cooking, man, and he
Oh,
continues to.
that's not true. Actually, looking at it, Sean found a way to pull out the dub over Omar, bro. They had a crazy back and forth game. It looked like it was going to go to Omar, but he gets the win there. So
My
good to
man.
at least I get that there. And yeah, I was trying to see Williams going to lose. So guess who's not in last place
Not this
anymore?
guy.
Tied for it.
Woo!
Well, let's get back to the actual NFL. That's what the viewers probably care more about than our fantasy league. But you know us, we gotta love it. So yeah, 34-10 right now as we speak. 30 seconds left,
Go
so
ahead
this
and
game
chalk those
is
up for me.
over. And yeah, we will give you the lock points right now, and you are updated. But let's talk about your other picks first. So who else did you pick?
Yeah, so my underdogs were the Colts, of course. Don't know why they were underdogs against the Colts. Or I mean the Jets, sorry. Jets suck, suck, suck. So
Yes,
I ended up
sir.
getting those 4 points actually because they were 4 point underdog. So I got a couple extra points there. And then the random the Niners,
Oh
man, they were
boy.
6.5 favorites over the Seahawks, and they end up shitting the bed, baby. So the Seahawks win after a late rushing TD from Geno Smith, and he was super excited about that. Nick Bosa goes down late in this game as well, so that's
Yeah,
going to be
made
interesting
a
to see what ends
huge
up happening
difference.
there. So, I mean, I don't know what happened, Niners, but every time I trust you, you guys let me down. So I'm back to hating you guys, you freaking losers.
Oh man, that is so crazy, dude. And I think if Nick Bosa's in that game, you might be looking at the Niners winning that game. I don't think you get that because that right after he goes down, man, they start moving down the field. So
Yeah.
makes the NFC West just insane, dude. I think you still got the Cardinals that are leading the division, yeah, at 6-4, and the rest of the teams one game back, 5-5. So
Sheesh.
that's going to be a crazy game to see. And then, yeah, we will get into the pick'em standings. So I end up getting more points because you got Well, you got 7 points. I got 8. So I barely get the a little bit more of a gap on you. And
Yeah.
I'm at 89. You are at 78. And Wesley, slowly but surely, man, it feels like he's creeping his way up, 57 and a half. So will be definitely interesting to see how that ends up going forward. We're getting closer to the end, so hopefully I gotta hold on to this league. I gotta find a way. All right, so I already lost to you in fantasy. You beat Wes in fantasy, and you're the hottest team in the league right now.
Oh.
Oh man! And then as far as our Week 12 picks, like I said, this was one of Feis's picks. It just ended, so we did not have time to make our picks. We will definitely update you with that later in the week. So other than that, man, what a great episode! It was awesome to do it with you again. Congrats on the win to me in fantasy. Can't blame my
Yeah.
players. Just like Doug Marone, or sorry, Doug Marone, that was the other one. Doug Peterson said in his loss, "This one's on me. This one's on me. This one's on the coach." Me benching CD Lamb last minute, man. I already said it 15 billion times, but it's just pissing me off right now.
I'm
So,
gonna take this
got
one
to
in a
come
little
back.
bit more.
Got to be better. All right. Well, that's been another episode of Your Favorite Couch Potatoes. Thank you guys for joining us. Be sure to check out the episodes drop every Thursday on YouTube and Spotify, as well as checking the socials. Our giveaway will be closed by the time that we drop this podcast. So I remind you to enter it, but it's already too late. So definitely excited to see who wins that. And thank you guys for your support in that. Definitely helping us grow. Really love that. So thank you guys very much. Other than that, that's all I got for you. So we'll catch you next time on the couch. See ya.